Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at the latest on the Patrick Kane situation. As it sounds likely he's going to get traded. There's been some conflicting reports, maybe the course coming back, and this and that. Chances are the Blackhawks are going in a new direction, and I have to say, I saw the Blackhawks last week at the Islander game, and you could just tell from their body language. Like I was just saying, I'm like, they don't look in it, and specifically Jonathan Toews. His sharp decline has been so frustrating to watch because it just doesn't even look like the same hockey player, and I really hope he's able to get that back with wherever he ends up, but it is tough to watch right now. Like they are holding on so tight to want to stay in Chicago, and I don't blame them for that. I mean, this is one of the nicest looking jerseys, the most iconic jerseys in NHL history, and it just seems like there's just nothing there. And there's a team that all of a sudden just looks kind of lost and directionless, even with those guys still there. And Patrick Kane is the main topic today. There are three teams that are in on Patrick Kane that I truly believe are going to be the finalists at the end of the day. For two main reasons. One, their location. I think location has a lot to do with it in today's league. And even though we see the Johnny Gaudreaus of the world who go to Columbus, Ohio for some reason, a lot of times it has to do with the market and things like that. The other thing is, if it comes down to a trade at the trade deadline, these three teams have the assets to some extent to get something done. And you may be wondering, Kevin, what are those three teams you're talking about? And those three teams are the ones you would expect and the ones we've heard the most about. And there's been other teams in the mix. Buffalo's been in the mix. St. Louis, Colorado. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to come down to the Los Angeles Kings on the West Coast, the New York Rangers, and the New York Islanders. And I think at the end of the day, it comes down to those three teams because, honestly, they are the closest to getting where Patrick Kane probably wants to go, which is another cup run, but also has the cap space and the trade assets to bring him in. And that's why I think that's really what you're looking at here. You know, the Kings have a lot of really good assets on their team. Alex Turcotte, Arthur Kaliev, who's that defenseman they just drafted? I don't think they're going to trade him. It reminds me a lot of Aaron Ekblad. They've obviously got the draft capital. They haven't really expended too much of their draft picks. Same thing for the Rangers. The Rangers have a couple of pretty good young players. Not that I think they would trade any of them, but in terms of trade assets, it's probably the most. You have, Kakko, Lafreniere, Braden Schneider, Keandre Miller, and their first round picks, which seemingly by the day seems like maybe they won't go that direction, depending on where they finish in the NHL standings. But that's something to consider. Obviously, playing in New York, the appeal of playing with his former teammate, his soulmate, Artemi Panarin, and obviously holds a little bit of leverage there. And the New York Islanders. He's talked about every time he plays the Islanders, he's always talking extremely highly of Matt Barzal. And that's a guy he could be potentially playing with on the first line with the New York Islanders. And we know how desperately the Islanders need that scoring forward, and there's always been that little bit of, pushback because teams are like, well, if I'm going to go there, I'm not going to put up good numbers because of Barry Trotz's system. And under Lane Lambert, that hasn't been the same deal. I mean, Zach Parise has more goals than Artemi Panarin, has more goals than Nathan McKinnon, has more goals than a lot of these superstar NHL players. And that's Zach Parise. And, maybe Patrick Kane saying to himself, listen, if they're able to get, some pretty good goal support from a guy like Parise, what can I do there? And I think that's kind of what you're looking at here with the potential of Kane going to one of those three teams. At the end of the day, it still comes down to, is he still looking at that legacy in Chicago? And yeah, absolutely. But I think what it's going to come down to is the Blackhawks want to have a new group there. They want to get rid of the whole, unfortunately, the tainted run that they were on in the mid 2000s and early 2010s. They almost want to get that off of them, which is kind of a shame because that's something that really Blackhawks fans can, kind of revel and remember as the golden era of the Chicago Blackhawks. And now it seems like the new ownership and the new team management and everything around it is kind of trying to push that away. And, honestly, I think Patrick Kane will end up going to either the Rangers or the Kings. I've given up hope that the Islanders can ever land a star player. I've just kind of conceded that. And I think the LA Kings really have the assets that a guy like Patrick Kane would want. Obviously, the glitz and glamour of playing in Los Angeles is obviously a big deal. And as crazy as it is, listen, Patrick Kane is now a dad. And I wonder if he's thinking to himself, what is the best scenario for his kid at this point? And I think that's something that obviously plays a little bit of a factor off the ice. And he wants to have a place where he's going to call home for the foreseeable future. So let me know what you guys think down below. Where do you guys think Patrick Kane will end up? I think LA is the best. Not personally, but for Patrick Kane, I think LA is a great spot for him. I think it's a really good place to go. The Rangers will probably have the best trade proposal, but again, they'd have to be willing to give up those guys like Miller and Kakko and Lafreniere, and I just don't think they're willing to do that quite yet. So, we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. Leave some mock trades for Patrick Kane and what it might take to acquire him. It's going to be pretty heavy, so definitely don't go skimping on the Blackhawks here in your trade proposals, but let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.